Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
And welcome back, and of course, this is Tim Harris and my lovely co-host, Julie Harris, and we're broadcasting live from Austin, Texas. And this is your unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money now. So this is the new real estate market, a new real estate boom, and I have to say a lot of you are having your best years ever, and I embrace the opportunity to help you guys even improve your years when you request a free coaching call. So, Julie, without any further delay, welcome to today's show, and do you have any interesting stories to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I do. It's funny because, you and I both have so many clients with really big, exciting goals. They've taken the time to do the treasure map. They've figured out how many listings they need at all times, how many deals they need to be doing to make the income, which meets or exceeds their goals. So that's exciting, but sometimes if you have really big goals, you can get a little intimidated by your own goals. So I had a great conversation with one of my agents in Santa Clarita, California, up in Los Angeles area. And, she has these really big goals, and we went through the exercise of figuring out not just year-to-date, closed and pending, and GCI and all that stuff, but also something that agents, I find, don't do that frequently. They actually figure out the dollar value in terms of income to them of their active listings, their for-sure leads that will for sure come together. I mean, of course, always things can happen, but as far as you can tell, you can make some projections. And, it's funny because that's a really comforting exercise, assuming that you do have leads and you have listings, versus only looking at what you haven't done during the year. Look at what you already have in the hopper, so to speak, and then figure out what you have to do. Instead of saying, oh, my gosh, I have so much more to do this year because I have such big goals, look at what you're already handling, and then it kind of takes the edge off. Does that make sense?
It does. And, Rochelle actually reminded me of something to say prior to today's radio show, and she said a lot of times when agents make a lot of money, especially in the first half this year, they'll go on a bit of a spending spree right now.
Right.
The kids are getting out of school. They start going on family vacations, and that's fantastic, and obviously that's a wonderful thing to do. But when they come back from these spending sprees and they start freaking out about their businesses again. So here's a thought for all of you guys. If you are planning on taking some downtime, if you are planning on, obviously spending your profits from having, hopefully most of you have experienced the fantastic first half of your year, you need to create a very specific plan of attack for the second half of the year, because the second half of the year is going to have its own set of challenges, and you've got to be prepared. Again, we are experiencing just hundreds and hundreds of new students joining our university, joining Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching, and the reality of it is it's because a lot of you guys have been listening to us for the past year, or longer, obviously. A lot of you are embracing the fact that this is a new real estate boom, and you're taking the actions to make the most of it. And though that leaves a lot of you guys sitting on the side of the road, you're wondering, well, Tim, where the heck is this real estate boom you keep on talking about? I'm not experiencing it. So a special message for those of you who feel like you're missing out on this incredible market. Get off your butts. It's your fault. I mean, that is the honest-to-God truth.
True.
Look around. There are agents making money to the left and the right of you, and if you're not, then it's something you're not doing. It's just that simple. Request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And remember, existing coaching students, those of you who are in Real Estate Coaching Essentials or any of our other coaching programs, you guys obviously get priority. So existing coaching students, jump on board immediately and go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. It's free, right? And you will, with your coach, develop a 6-month business plan. It's a half-hour free coaching call just focused on you and your goals. So today's radio show is one that I've been looking forward to doing for a long time, and I've been putting it off, to be honest with you, because in so many ways I realized that the topic today is going to, I think, a lot of ways raise eyebrows and not necessarily in a good way. So today's coaching call, today's radio show is going to be specifically focused on units versus dollars. Why is it that we're all trained as realtors to count units and not count dollars? What's the psychology behind teaching realtors not to focus on money. I think that's very fascinating, and we're going to talk about that after today's quick commercial break. Again, when we come back, my challenge is going to be, my goal is to get you to think outside of the box and then get you thinking like a business owner, because I got news for you. Real business owners, they focus on the dollars. So we're going to talk about that when we come back after this quick commercial break.
Is coaching right for you? And how can I guarantee it will work for me? Chances are you are asking yourself those questions right now. I'll answer those critical questions for you in just a moment. But first, let's be honest about something you may have always suspected. You've probably always known that the nation's top 1% of realtors, those millionaire agents you see on TV, they possess a secret knowledge that the other 99% of agents do not have. Where did they learn what they know? And more importantly, how did they learn how to put this closely guarded information into money-making action? It's simple. They have a coach. Not just any coach. The nation's mega millions, top 1% of the realtors know that in order to maintain their almost unfair advantage, that they must have their own personal coach. A proven, market-tested coach who has truly walked in their shoes. A coach who has worked with many of the nation's leading agents. At this point, you're probably ready to maybe try coaching. However, you don't want to be unfairly locked into a long-term ball and chain that coaching contracts can give you. It just makes sense that you should be able to try it before you buy it. Even more importantly, you want to have a coach who is the best of the best, not someone who is simply assigned to you or, even worse, has never sold real estate. Can you imagine? If this is you, I have something for you right now that is exactly what you have been looking for. For the next 48 hours, Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching is offering you a free coaching call. This is a real coaching call with a real Tim and Julie Harris coach. Now, while you are thinking about it, why don't you visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Once again, that is freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, let's be clear. This exclusive coaching opportunity is only available for the first 50 realtors who are stone cold serious about their real estate business and know that in order to succeed at the highest level, they must hire a coach. So don't wait any longer. Take action now and visit us again at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
Okay, we are back. And while I was on break, guys, I was really thinking about really drilling down in my own mind. Why is it that our industry, why is it that the brokers, the office managers, the trainers, and guess what, even the other coaches, why is it that we focus seemingly so intensely on units opposed to dollars? What's the logic behind, having agents not be dollar-focused, not be money-focused? Now, let me be clear, really clear about one point. You're not going to make money unless you have the mindset of service. You're not going to make money unless you're here to help other people. You're not going to make money unless you have the skill set that people are willing to pay for. The reason that you may not have the lifestyle, the cash flow, you have not had the experiences, you do not have the stuff, the house, the whatever that you want is because you have yet to figure out the correlation between the services that you are able to provide and offer and the number of people that will pay for those services. Being really clear, if you become really, really good, or in many cases when you become really, really good at your job as a realtor, solving people's problems, they will absolutely positively beat a path to your door. In other words, if you're right now feeling like you're suffering and you're wondering why, I'm telling you the answer right now. Opposed to you being jealous, opposed to you being envious, opposed to you assuming that, your competitors have an unfair advantage over you and all these other sort of, self-defeating rationalizations that a lot of people go through, set all those things aside, set all that, garbage talk aside, and just accept the fact that it's simply for the fact that other people, they're offering something that your potential clients, that your buyers and sellers in your market are wanting more than what you have to offer. when you really take responsibility like that, when you open up your mind like that, you absolutely positively start creating space for new ideas. You accept the fact that you need to get better at your job. You know, I had somebody that I talked with this morning. He's in our Real Estate Coaching Essentials program. And I asked him how he rated. I hope he's not listening to the radio show. I asked him how he rated his listing skills, Julie, on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, and I don't know this guy very well, but here's what we got to. He said an 8. I said an 8. Okay. So then I asked him so how many listing appointments have you went on so far this year? And I think he told me like 10. He may have been guessing, but so I said, how many of those listings did you take? And it was like 1 or 2. I said, so you basically you're scoring a 10 or 20% success rate. Exactly. I said, so how is that an 8? And he started to laugh at himself because he had a little moment of truth where he was seeing through his own BS, realizing that, hey, guess what? Your listing skills suck. But to his credit, he's realizing, and this guy's in L.A., Pasadena area, he was realizing that his market is shifting. The days of buying buyer leads is coming to an end. The dawn is here, guys. The fact is that if you're not learning how to be listing agents, you're not going to probably be in business. And if you are in business, you're not going to like the business you have because it is going to be a constant struggle. The cost of buying – how long have we been warning all of you about this? How long ago did you hear all of us tell you that buying buyer leads from Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com was the height of stupidity for our industry? We've been telling you that forever, and yet some of you still think that's the way to build your business. It's not. It might
and it's not getting any cheaper, by the way.
No, I mean, and the lead quality, of course, is going to crap because
and the cost is going up.
And the cost is going up, so you're paying more for bad leads. It's not you. It's the system that you're buying the leads from. That's just a cold, hard fact. So here's a thought for you. In our industry, why do we focus on units? Why don't we focus on money? Why do we focus on how many houses did you sell last year opposed to how much money did you net? So the thought for you, the challenge for all of you is focusing on more units forces you to do dumb things like buying buyer leads. Focusing on more units forces you to do things like cutting your commission. Focusing just on units because that's where a lot of the prizes and awards and recognition come from in our industry, just doing units. Does that mean you make more money? Interesting thought, isn't it? Because the answer is no. A lot of you guys have listened to our superstar interviews with many of the nation's top producing agents. Many of you guys know that we coach personally some of the nation's top producing agents in all the markets. One of the things, though, it's a recurring theme with Julie and I, is we get these guys that are recovering, team addicts. So they'll have had these big, huge real estate teams. They'll have believed for a while that was the path to riches, but then they'll find out after they've gone through the trials and tribulations of building their team, after they spent, in many cases, millions of dollars and countless hours of their life energy trying to make this mythical team thing work to make more profit, they realize that it's a lie. It is a lie. So here's a bottom line fact for you. Research this yourself. Listen to our top producing interviews. Talk with some of our students. If let's say you're in a normal real estate market, somewhere in the Midwest, and let's say your average sale price is $200,000, thereabouts. So your average commission is $6,000. So your goal is to net $250,000. You want to make in your pocket $250,000 a year. Statistically, if you have a big team, in order for you to net $250,000 a year, you have to gross over $1 million. I'm going to say that again. If you want to net in your pocket before taxes $250,000, in most major markets, you're going to have a bunch of, if your goal, if you want to get up to $1 million, so you can be the top producer in your market, to net $250,000, and you want to do it based on the team model. How much time will that take? How much energy will that take? You can make $250,000 in your market with you and an assistant. Maybe the overhead increases to $300,000. So, the overhead, in order to cover your overhead, you have to gross $300,000. For you to net $250,000 in most of the country, you have to do at average of $6,000 per commission. I'm doing this math in my head, can you tell? You have to do about 50 units. That's it. So most of the country, you have to sell 50 houses to make $300,000. Even if you have an assistant, you will net the same as that top producer you're jealous of that's doing doing the same net, but they're having to do it based on $1 million in total commissions. Julie, does that make sense?
It does, absolutely, and we have lots of conversations that corroborate that. It's very typical standard math.
Right. So stop trying to form a team. Stop buying buyer leads. Stop focusing on units. Start focusing on profits. So if you were to shift your mindset right now to focusing on profits, actually deciding that you're no longer going to have a units-based real estate business, Julie, what are the different types of thoughts that would enter into their minds? In other words, they're not just going to be focusing on more. I need to hire more people. I need to buy buyer leads so I can feed my buyer agent staff. More. I need to blah, blah, blah. Instead, shift their focus away from units and towards money and towards profit. What also changes?
Pretty much everything. First, I hear a lot of the Scooby-Doo all across the country right now. The first thing is the light bulb going off going, well, if I did focus on that, maybe I wouldn't have to crank as many deals. Maybe I wouldn't have to have an army of buyer's agents, 2 transaction coordinators, and all this fluffery around me.
Work all the evenings, have a stressful life.
This is making you crazy anyway. Because the myth is, shouldn't you be sitting on a beach theoretically by now? Of course, that isn't how it goes. You have to manage all that stuff. So the first thing is the aha moment. The second thing is, what am I going to do about it? And that is to figure out, first, I think, Tim, honestly, it starts with not every agent that's listening to this even really knows how much money it takes for them to meet or exceed their lifestyle goals. If you interview a bunch of agents who are standing in a live event and we say, how much do you have to earn, you always get that dorky standard answer, I want to earn $1 million. I want to earn $500,000. Well, what is that based on? Because most agents, if they figure out their personal overhead, business overhead, taxes, savings, and fun, you have to earn $1 million. You can. Maybe, there's a difference between having to and wanting to as a goal, right? But I would be willing to bet you at least 50% of the agents listening right now don't actually even have the number in mind. That's where it starts. And then, it's good to know based on your average net commission about how many deals so you can know about how many listings. But ultimately, if you're focused on profit, to your question, what changes? Well, you'll become actually a lot more relentless about your lead follow-up because now you're searching for profit instead of contacts or units. It's less going through the motions and more focusing on profit, which if you were running, quote, a real business where you're the CEO and your CFO is reporting the numbers to you, you'd be real clear on this. That because in real estate, nobody really keeps an eye on us unless we have a coach, unless we have a great broker, okay? It's easy to lose sight and just go after that award. Gosh, I got to do 3 more units. Then I can compete with Bill and I'll be ahead of him. When in fact doing that makes both you and Bill broke because you do stupid things like overspend on, creating units. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. And, let's even dig into this a little bit deeper. And this is the insidious part of this whole conversation. This is the part that really makes my teeth itch. Why is it that our industry, honestly, wants you guys to focus on units? Remember, we're an agent-centric coaching company. So why is it that I don't think, honestly, at this point, I don't even think brokers and office managers have ever thought about why they focus on units. But I'll tell you the answer why, originally it started working out this way. Back when the commission splits were almost always 50-50, and I'm talking obviously back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. So there were no 100% companies. There were, the probability of you as an agent.
Wasn't any capping and that kind of thing?
Exactly. So that's all kind of modern stuff as far as commission splits. So what happened is that back then, the broker didn't want the agents focusing on the dollars. The broker sure as hell didn't want the agents realizing how much the broker was taking. So they set their system up. They set the industry up. The belief is still in existence that you have to sell a lot of units. How many units did you sell? We don't track dollars here. We track units. You will create more of what you focus on. As a rule, if you're focusing on, and if you're being frosty and focusing on more contacts and sellers and listings, have you ever noticed that you'll attract more of that to you, almost like magic? Well, the reality of it is that opportunity is always around you. It's just only when you're focused on it do you actually create it, do you actually find it, do you actually discover that almost everywhere you turn it seems like somebody wants to buy or sell real estate. Interesting, isn't it? So focus that same intensity, have that same intensity on money, on profit. If you don't have the money that you want, the financial security that you want, it's simply because you haven't been focusing on it. It hasn't been a priority. And again, I'm going to throw this out there. A lot of you guys are uncomfortable talking about money. I get that. Societally, there certainly are a lot of people that are raised to believe, your present company included, that money is not something you talk about. That's considered rude. Really, considered rude. Well, then I'm rude, because we talk about money here a lot. Because we're in business, you're in business to make a profit, to make money. Guys, you don't get rich from selling houses. You get rich from what you do from the profits from selling houses. You have to have profits in order to reinvest to get rich. A lot of you don't have any profits. Why? One of the reasons is you're too focused on the units. Focus on the profit. How much money do you need to pay your bills every single month? Julie, I can't tell you how many times I've had free coaching calls with agents, and I've asked them, okay, how much money are you making this month? This month!
Yeah,
they don't know.
This month, they don't know.
They don't know.
I had somebody tell me last week that she thought if she knew that she was going to jinx it somehow.
Yeah, what the hell, guys?
What?
Are we still living in an era of witchcraft? I suppose.
No, maybe some are.
I mean, but isn't that, yeah, that's right. But isn't that interesting, Julie? I mean, they think, and they don't write it down, they don't track it. When Julie and I sold real estate, now granted this was back in the dark ages in the 90s and into the early 2000s, well, really mostly the 90s, what we did is we had a dry erase board, and this is something we have all of our great coaching clients do. And on the dry erase board, you have all the closings you had so far this year, as the address written down. We have you write where the source of the listing was, where'd you originally get the lead. Then you write down the sale price, and then you write down the commission. We want those numbers in front of you at all times, because I know, Julie knows, all of our great coaches know that when you're focusing on money, when you're focusing on profit, you make more of it naturally, right? Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't this just feel like, oh yeah, well this is no BS information? It's because it is. So why is it that when you go to your office meeting this week, they're going to ask you about units? You need to start realizing that the cards are stacked against you when it comes to wealth building as an agent. Cards are stacked against you in this industry for wealth building. You are going to be almost persecuted in a way if you become the person that starts deciding to be rich by focusing on the dollars. You will quickly step away from the myth about units, and you'll then realize that I need to earn $7,500 or $10,000 a month for me and my family to be comfortable. There's a number. That's a dollar amount. It's not a unit. Then I realized that in order for me to then set aside a certain amount of money for savings, a certain amount of money made to pay off some debts and then taxes, I might need to earn another $7,500. So for me to have a really comfortable lifestyle, provide my whatever the number is, right? You maybe need to provide your family $15,000 or $20,000 a month. Then we ask, how many units is that? Then we figure that out. And then we track based on dollars, not on units, because you could have a killer month and have a sale come in for, you need $15,000 a month, and maybe you sell a $10 million house. Well, technically, you might be taking the rest of the year off, and you know what? If you've met all your financial obligations and you've exceeded your expectations, and if you want to take some time off because you've earned the money, then do it. Again, you work for yourself. Avoid the tracking of the units as the primary objective. The primary objective has to be the tracking of the money. Julie, why wouldn't somebody do this? Why do you think that agents, I know, we talk about stuff all the time, and when we're presenting it, I know that we're mostly just talking to ourselves. I know that there's so few agents out there that are ready to embrace this concept of, essentially taking responsibility for their financial futures, but I want to do it anyway because I want to put it out there. I want to release this information because there are a certain percent, 10%, that will listen, that this will resonate with, who will get it, and those will be the ones ultimately to become rich. The ones who reject it, why do they reject it?
I think it freaks them out. I think there's something psychologically going on. They think if they are more clear about their money, that, it's like facing a demon in a way, right? And the funny thing is, they have, because they've been avoiding it, creative avoidance and other, whatever you want to call it, not knowing how much you've got coming in, not knowing how much you need coming in, it's like they're hiding from the problem. But the weird thing is whenever we force agents to do this, because this is part of the treasure map that's included in both the Coaching Essentials program and Advanced Breakthrough because it's so important, They're always like surprised. Oh, well, okay, now that I'm clear on that, now I can do something about it. But until then, it's almost like they're hiding out from the made-up stuff in their head, right? And it grows to the point where they're freaked out. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's
a stress because you guys can be in control. It's no longer a big mystery. You know, how many of you don't actually know how much money you've earned so far this year? You know, it's a lot of you. I know that from doing free coaching calls. I know that from being coaching agents.
That.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that the answer?
Well,
that's my broker's job. Right. It's the broker's job to track his numbers, not yours.
Right.
You know, why is it that you're expecting him to track how much money you made? It's your job to track how much money you made. It's your job, most importantly, to not just track that money, but then reinvest that money so that you will have the – guys, nothing is more depressing from a coaching perspective than having these coaching calls with folks who are starting to give up any hope that they're ever going to be successful, any hope that they're ever going to have enough, money to actually retire. Everyone, no matter where you are in your career, no matter where you are in the business right now, whether you're just getting started, you're in the middle of your career, or you feel like you're kind of wrapping up your career, we are at the very beginning stages of what's going to be remembered as, I undoubtedly will, argue this, but with some of you, but the reality of it is this is going to be the greatest real estate boom of our careers. So how many of you are treating it like that? How many of you are seeing this as an opportunity? If you've been through other real estate booms and you haven't come out of the other side of that real estate boom with enough money that you maybe don't even have to work anymore, is it because you are focusing, I don't know, on units? You want to brag about the year that you sold 100 houses? How about bragging about the year that you saved $100,000 or $1 million or whatever your number is? Have that be the goal, not just how many units you sold. Stop believing, guys, that somebody else is going to take care of you financially, including the government, by the way. That's not going to happen. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. Become absolutely obsessed, because you are a business owner, with money. If that doesn't resonate with you, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, hire us as your coach. We'll be obsessed for you, but I promise you, you will make more money. What you focus on the most is what you will manifest. You will create more of it. So do that. Consider it, at the very least, requesting a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Julie, any other closing thoughts as we wrap up today's show?
Well, it's okay if right now you're having those thoughts, my gosh, I got to get really clear on this. That makes you somewhat normal in our industry. What's not okay is to not do anything about it when we're done with this radio show. You got to get clear on this. If you need help, go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. If you're already in our Coaching Essentials program or Advanced or Breakthrough, make sure that you didn't just do that once, that if you have us as your coaches, we're keeping you pretty crystal clear on this fact. But especially if you're a Coaching Essentials client, get that treasure map done. Get clear on the numbers. And, yes, it might be temporarily uncomfortable. That's part of the process. That's part of your business and financial maturity. It's not okay to hide out from your financial picture.
Exactly. Stop hiding. Yeah, like Julie said, initially it's a little shocking, right? It's sometimes a little surprising. I have to say, though, you will be pleasantly surprised in most cases. And Julie touched on this a second ago, and it's so true. If we were in front of 1,000 of you right now, and we were to ask, how much do you guys need to earn every month to pay your bills? Almost all of you would say the same number, $5,000, because that's almost what agents say. Or they'd say $10,000, or if it were on the East Coast, they'd say $20,000, whatever, the standard answer. And then we'd ask, okay, how much money do you have to earn every year to meet all your financial obligations, to pay off any debt, retirement, and have a really great lifestyle? And then you guys would throw out these other crazy numbers. But then when we actually take the time to put a pen to paper and do the actual math, without exception, maybe one or two times, okay, so maybe the occasional exception, but almost never is the amount of money that you actually have to earn, is it greater than what you were thinking you had to earn? In other words, you don't have to earn as much money or sell as many units as you thought you did, and you're putting too much pressure on yourself. And if you're really clear about why you're in this business, exactly, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Because somebody's doing more units, you're beating yourself up. But if your personal, wonderful, perfect life, your incredibly perfect life can be achieved with $300,000 a year, And that means basically once you earn $300,000 a year, you've met all your financial obligations, you've paid off your credit card, you've taken that wonderful trip, you bought a new car, you've done whatever, you put aside money for retirement, whatever your number is. Focus on that. Stop acting like
but
you're,
Tim, I won't get
one
my
of these
award then.
Who cares? Award doesn't feed you. Right?
Exactly.
So, guys,
throwing that out
this is
there.
a new way of thinking for a lot of you, but you can feel it intuitively that it's the truth. If there's anything we can help you with, what do? Free coaching calls for agents.com. I know that we tell you guys things all the time that are different than you're going to hear everywhere else. I know some of you are uncomfortable about what we have to say. I know we lose listeners occasionally on this radio show because Julie and I will tell you guys the stone cold truth, but we're not going to stop. If we offend some of you, well, be offended. I wish you luck, best of everything. Those of you who listen, those of you who get it, will be those of you who become wealthy as a result of this new real estate boom. If there's anything we can do for you, free coaching calls for agents.com, and we'll talk with you on the radio tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.